Welcome to Conscious Momentum, and this week we have Dr. Ramila from Canada, Ottawa, the capital of Canada.
That's right.
And she's doctor in natural medicine. She's one of our students now for many years, and she has a very special story. And she's someone that has so many skill and gifts. She's the author of this book, The Belly of the Beast, and it's about the gut. And we know today that the microbiome is such a trend and a hot subject, and also, you know, this her story is also a part of this syndrome of yeast syndrome.
That's right.
And that was also when myself in Canada I was doing a lot of clients with this problem. So, but let's talk about you know, how you get to natural medicine, to your personal story.
Okay.
And this has defined also the reason why you become a student. And
exactly. So we immigrated from South Africa, and I had these health problems for 15 years. So I would get yeast infections, bladder infections, and all the time I'd be put on antibiotics. And as we know, antibiotics kill all the good flora.
Absolutely.
And from there, I developed a skin condition called dermographism. And so when we came to Canada, my background is chemistry, and I had to, of course, go back to school, like we all know. And so, you know, I was praying to God and saying, God, you brought us here with 3 children. What do I do? And the little voice, God's voice, said to me, I need to help people and I need to work with people. And that began, you know, that's how my story began. And once I started doing school, and I started with my nutrition course, and knew what the root cause of my problem was, within 6 weeks, I was symptom free. And I had this condition for 15 years.
Incredible.
So for me, I put everything, my passion, I found what my why was, what my purpose is. God brought me to Canada, to the cold Canada, for a purpose. And that was to heal myself.
I like very much your story. First of all, you know, we have many students coming at the university because they either went through health problems, some even cancer,
right,
and or a member of the family. I think myself, you know, the one major motivation I went to medical
yes,
school was my brother dying at 17 years old of a cancer skull, yes, osteosarcoma. So, and this is the story of many of our students. So they are in a search. They solve their problem, and then of course they have this major interest to come to natural medicine. And the other characteristic in your story is also the fact that, you know, you were immigrant, you know, you came in Canada starting from from ground zero, and then you have established this fantastic practice. And I'm speaking about, you know, your many skills. So today you are an author, you have this flourishing clinic, and you're also participating to this Ottawa Network TV,
yes,
as a contributor to, and it's fantastic.
Yeah. So my level of commitment to empower people is so huge, mm-hmm, that I continued studying, and I'm so passionate about studying. And then I ran into your university, mm-hmm, and it was another aspect for me to learn to empower people. Mm-hmm. So, you know, sometimes you do things in your practice and you get to a certain stage and you can't take the person forward. Mm-hmm. And this, with Quantum University, it helps me to take them forward. The other aspect, what I love about the Quantum, it's all about consciousness. It's about spirituality, bringing all of this together. That's what holistic health is. Mm-hmm. We're not like medical doctors. Someone comes in with a symptom, here you go, here's a vitamin, here's a herb, and that's it. Mm-hmm. That's not what we are. We are transforming people, and Quantum University helps us do that. It takes us to another level, and you see a lot of practitioners in the holistic field, mm-hmm, they're still working like medical doctors.
This is one of my favorite subjects. This is what I'm saying. I lecture about this. It's like you know, practicing in a holistic way is not coming from a linear model like conventional medicine, and now you, instead to work with medication, you work with vitamin. It's more than that. You need, you define it so well, you know, you need this kind of consciousness approach that you start to understand what is holistic first, and also the way to recenter the relation, to this notion of entanglement, because with consciousness we realize that everything is interconnected, and the relationship change a lot, as well as the way to look at the individual from not only a materialistic linear point of view, but more multidimensional.
Absolutely. And I love how Dr. Goswami says, it's an entangled hierarchy. The healer and the healee gets healed at the same time.
Beautiful.
So we're not sitting back and creating a wall between us and the client or patient. Here we are one, because we are healing as much as we are giving. We are healing as well, and I love that concept.
It's beautiful. And you're doing a lot also with the kinesiology. Then the quantum aspect has also gave a perspective to understand better how work kinesiology for you.
Absolutely. So one of the things, in my modality that I use, and I've really, really mastered it, is kinesiology, and I use that as a tool in my practice. And quantum physics has taught me or given me more insight to understand how kinesiology works. And we all know, or maybe people don't even realize, that we are all connected non-locally. And that's part of quantum physics as well.
Absolutely.
We think about someone and then they suddenly call in, and people understand that. But they don't realize that that is because we're all connected non-locally. And this is the science behind quantum physics.
Absolutely.
And this is what brings it out. And that's why I just love every aspect of it.
I think you should join the teacher faculty. and you are also very active in your milieu, in your field. And I think you have participated to the TV network where you're living in Ottawa. So.
Right. Yes, and I have been, active on television as well. I do believe that education empowers people. And so, I use very simple techniques, and I speak very simply that even a young person can understand. If a child watches my segment, they would know. And, with The Belly of the Beast, that's how I wrote the book. I didn't put a lot of science behind it, because people that want to do more research can go and do it. And I had a patient from the US actually that came to Toronto, to Ottawa, and she's 12 years old, and her mom said to her, while they were in Ottawa for the week, she said, if you read the book, I'm going to quiz you. And if you get the answers right, I'm going to give you $100.
Oh boy.
And she did. And the mom quizzed her right in my office, and she had all the answers correct. And at that moment, I knew that the book was exactly what I wanted it to be.
Good.
Yeah.
So you are an author, you're participating to your, in Ottawa, it's to the broadcast TV, and you have a flourishing clinic, this is, you have how many years, in 20 years or more?
More than 20 years.
From when because one of the questions most of the time people come when they knock at the door of the Quantum University is what a doctor of natural medicine do. And today, when people start a career or they start a university, a curriculum, they want to know the after. What are you doing after? Will I be able to, support my family? And I think you are very special now that you can really speak about the fact that you start from the ground and you build up this flourishing clinic, and you're doing very well, as a doctor, an author, and a TV star, and also your clinic is flourishing. Right?
Yes, we have a very flourishing clinic. I have a lot of people actually that come from the US to our clinic.
Wow.
They fly in, they stay for the entire week and get treatments with us. You know, considering that we are immigrants, there was a point in our life just after we came, 2 years into us being in Canada, we were surviving on $100 a week for 5 of us. I have 3 children.
Wow.
And, you know, today we live quite an affluent life, and all of that came from the clinic.
And you travel also a lot.
We travel a lot. We have 3 children. All 3 of our children have 2 degrees, under and postgrads, and we've helped them with all of that. So not only did we put them through university, we travel, we do live an affluent life, and that was all done through the clinic. There was no other income. So for anyone out there thinking, how am I going to do this? Just know, if your passion is there and you have your why, you will attract the people, and the people that are meant for you to come will come to you. So study through the university. It's incredible. And the way you empower people, there's no price to that.
Thank you so very much, Dr. Ramila.
Thank you,
and
Dr.
you're welcome
Druin.
in 2020 to our Congress. Thank you.
Absolutely. I'm looking forward to that.
Thank you.